Within this lesson, we are randomizing the contents of an array, and then we're going to be returning back that array, freshly created array that we are building out. We created a function already called random array, and it's expecting an argument, and that argument that it's expecting is an array that gets passed in there. So now we're going to have our random array, and we'll update this to be random or rand, and then we can output and console log rand. This word, this string value that's turned into an array, we can see that here in the right hand side in the console, reorganize the contents of the array. Let's set up our loop to loop through the contents of the array. Set up a variable called I, and we're going to equal I to the value of our array length, subtracting 1, because our array length, so now we get the index values of the items in the array. That's why we need to subtract 1. And we're going to loop through while I is less than 0. So once it hits 0, then once it goes below 0, then that's where we stop the loop. And as long as I is above 0, and that means that we need to decrease the value of I. So a lot of the loops that we've done before are going to be increasing, and in this case, we're going to be decreasing that value. And we're also going to need to set up a temporary value for that item within the array, so that we can store that and take that out, and then store that as a new value as we build out the new temporary array. And for now, what I'll do is I'll console log out the value of temp. We also need to generate a random value, so we'll call that j, using what we did before with math floor. And we're going to multiply it by whatever the value of I is plus 1. And remember, I is decreasing in value as we're iterating through, and I'll log out the values of I as well, and we'll console log out the value of j so that we can see everything that's happening here. So as we hit start out with the last letter, and as we loop through and iterate through, I is decreasing in value, and we're also getting a random different value every time we're decreasing. So we can try that one more time, and you can see that temp, so that temp is the letter that we're on. I is the current index value that we're looking at, so that's where we're getting E from. And then J is the new random index value that we want to add into the array. So let's build out our new array. And we're just swapping the order between the two different items in the array. So we're taking the value of I, and in this case, we're going to take E, and we're going to equal E to whatever the value of J is, and in this case it would be the second item in the index. So we're equaling those, and then we're taking the value of J and we're equaling it to the value of temp. So basically we're doing a quick swap over of these characters as we're iterating through, and that swapping around of the order of the characters is going to reorganize that current array. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to return that array and output that as a return value. So let's try that out and hit start, and you can see that now we've got a reorganized sorting of the contents of that array. And so this is website, and we've reorganized the items in the array. And now it's just a matter of turning it back into a string value. So right now we're getting a returned value, and we can use join. So we're joining it together with, that's two double quotes. And now when we refresh, we hit start, and we get a scrambled version of whatever word was sent into the scrambler. And this randomizing of the array order, this is a function that I used very often within a lot of different applications. So it's a very useful function, creating a random value and then swapping it with whatever that randomized item was. And it's doing it whatever number of characters we have in the array, essentially reorganizing the array content. So go ahead and try this out for yourself. Add in the ability to randomize the order of an array, and that's going to move us along to the next step where we're almost ready to output that word to the player so that they can start guessing what the word is that we've generated. So go ahead and give it a try.